We're just a few days away from the newest Star Wars series, The Acolyte. The Acolyte's showrunner Leslie Headland has recently spoken about how much she focused on making her show in the same mold of George Lucas' Star Wars, even saying that Star Wars created by Lucas is her Northern Star. But Star Wars has changed in some enormous ways. In fact, it can be said that Star Wars isn't Star Wars anymore at all. Not sure what I mean? Let me break it down. George Lucas is on record emphasizing that one of the main purposes of storytelling, especially in the context of films like Star Wars, is to offer an escape. He believes that movies provide a way for people to experience adventures and emotions that they might not encounter in their real lives. Keep this in mind as we go further down the rabbit hole. One major way Star Wars has changed is with their DEI initiative. Sure, most all Star Wars movies and shows under the Disney banner have female show leads. Rey, Ahsoka, Omega, Barriss Offee, Morgan Elsbeth, to name a few. Recently, Kathleen Kennedy said, "My belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people." Kennedy told Variety about her support for Headland's Acolyte vision. She went on to say, "That's an easy decision for me." Something else that is way different with Star Wars today is the push for LGBTQ representation. From 1977 to 2012, during the 35-year run when George Lucas owned Lucasfilm, there were no explicitly identified LGBTQ characters in the Star Wars universe. The representation of LGBTQ characters in Star Wars began after Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012. The original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and other media produced under Lucas did not feature characters with explicitly stated LGBTQ identities. Lucas's tenure at Lucasfilm focused primarily on the central saga and broader themes of good versus evil, heroism, and redemption, with less emphasis on the personal identities and orientations of characters. The push for more diverse and inclusive representation, including LGBTQ characters, became more pronounced with Disney's stewardship and the subsequent expansions in the Star Wars media universe. So once we got to 2012 and the Disney purchase of Lucasfilm, we got several LGBTQ characters across various Star Wars media, including films, television series, books, and comics. Here's an overview of some notable LGBTQ characters in the Star Wars universe under Disney's ownership. First, Sinjir Rath Velis, introduced in the Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig. Sinjir is a former Imperial loyalty officer who becomes a key member of the New Republic. He is one of the first openly gay characters in Star Wars canon. Dr. Aphra, a character from the Darth Vader comic series who received her own spin-off series. Dr. Aphra is a morally ambiguous archaeologist who has had romantic relationships with other women. Sana Staros, initially introduced in the Star Wars comics as a woman claiming to be Han Solo's wife, later revealed to be a ruse. Sana is also depicted as having a romantic past with Dr. Aphra. Cade and Tara Say, introduced in the Star Wars Legacy comic series. Cade Skywalker is shown in a same-sex relationship in some storylines. Moff Delian Moores, a character in the novel Lords of the Sith by Paul Kemp. She is an Imperial officer who is depicted as a lesbian and mourns the loss of her wife. Sienna Rhee and Barriss Say, from the novel Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. Sienna Rhee's best friend, Barriss Say, is shown to have same-sex relationships. Lando Calrissian in Solo, A Star Wars Story. Screenwriter Jonathan Kasdan stated that Lando is pansexual, although this is more implied than explicitly shown in the film. Amilyn Holdo, in the novel Leia, Princess of Alderaan by Claudia Gray. Amilyn Holdo, played by Laura Dern in The Last Jedi, is hinted to be open to same-sex relationships. In the film The Rise of Skywalker, the film features a brief moment where two women share a kiss during the celebration after the final battle, making the first on-screen same-sex kiss in a Star Wars film. Vel Sartha and Cinta Kaz. In the Disney Plus series Andor, Vel and Cinta are depicted as a couple, adding LGBTQ representation to the live-action series. Now, with The Acolyte about to debut, showrunner Leslie Headland, a member of the LGBTQ community, has cast her wife, Rebecca Henderson, as a character in The Acolyte. Also, actress Jodie Turner-Smith plays the lesbian leader of a regal coven of witches in The Acolyte. And let's not forget that the show lead, Amanda Listenberg, in real life identifies as non-binary. Charlie Barnett, also in The Acolyte, says he realized he was gay at the age of 13. And last, that we know of currently, Abigail Thorne came out as a trans woman in 2021. She's in The Acolyte. The Acolyte is the most extreme DEI-infused project in Star Wars history. In 2021, Leslie Headland said the following about The Acolyte. She said, "There's just no way that me being a queer woman is not going to be reflected in my work." She went on to explain how storytelling is often an extension of the storyteller, reflecting key aspects of that person's life and identity in the narrative itself. So as a result, she believes her queerness will come through in the show, even if it happens to be on a subconscious level. All of these characters and even showrunners now represent Disney's efforts to increase LGBTQ representation in the Star Wars universe. One could argue that this is a primary effort of the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy. But here's a major problem. When you push to make Star Wars more and more like our world, you no longer have Star Wars. There is no escape, as George Lucas mentioned before. You are not a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. With Disney Star Wars, with their DEI agenda destroying the franchise, you are no longer watching Star Wars at all. This is something else. Here's what we know. George Lucas isn't coming back. We aren't getting a time machine. This is what it is. And what it is trash. Kathleen Kennedy and the Walt Disney Company have destroyed the indestructible, the most powerful, the most well-known, greatest film franchise in entertainment history. To finish the segment, the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland said that if you are a misogynist, racist, or bigot or indulge in hate speech, you are not a Star Wars fan. I am none of those things, but I'm sure Leslie Headland would certainly say that I am.